Hello, everybody. We're going to give this just a minute to come up because let me just tell you something. So we were just talking before the show, and one of our fabulous panelists said to me, I thought Mercury retrograde was supposed to be over, but we have had the gamut of tech issues this morning. So we're just going to leave it to how we usually do, that our energy is just too powerful for this show. Welcome to another show today. I'm so excited that you're here with us because we know that you could be anywhere, and we're thrilled that you're choosing to watch the show today, whether you're on live or on the replay. I would love for you to take a minute and chime in below in the comments, say hello, and let us know where you're joining from so that we can give you a fun shout out today. I saw that we had some people joining us already. I saw Eric joining us. I know Lori is hopefully going to make it on the show today. She was having some tech issues, like I said, but we're hoping that she'll be able to jump in soon. Kathy's here with us. Lisanna's here with us. I hope I said your name right. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. Again, comment below so we can say hello to you. I would also love for you to take a minute and hit the heart button on this video and hit the share button so that more people can enjoy the show with us today. So my name is Jessica Dugas. I am an intuitive mentor and the host of this show, and this is The Breakthrough. It's a spiritual view for your soul and mind where we dig deep on today's spiritual hot topics and inspire you with stories that change our lives. So we hopefully have a really good show for you today. At least that's the plan. We have our friend Lori Auger here today, who's hopefully going to be talking about finding healing in her life, which is a journey that I know many of us have been on, whether we're talking about physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, and of course the combination of the three of those and the impact that it can have on our personal journey. So really excited to dive into that today, as well as our fun hot topics. But first, we have to welcome our panelists for today. So let me get them up here. First and foremost, we're going to welcome our transformational midwife on the show. She helps us to stay grounded. Like I said, she's like one of our most peaceful energies here on the show, and I love her to pieces. Everybody, please hit the heart button for Crystal Cockerham today. Yay, Crystal is here. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I had to rejoin the audio again.
I know. I'm telling you, there's been like this delay. It's so crazy lately. I'm just rolling with it and having a good time. We've missed you the last couple of weeks. What you been up to?
Oh my goodness. I have been, well, the first week, I have to remember because it's been like a month, right? So the first week I was traveling up north to the northern Michigan there for my weekend to, I help facilitate some teachings with a group of women.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, in the divine feminine mystery. So it's really, really cool. I love it. And then I don't remember last week.
You've been resting. You were resting last week. That's what we'll go with, right?
Okay.
And it's great. We're glad that you're back on the show today, and we've got you for the next couple of weeks, so we don't have to miss you anymore. And that's
right.
And up next, our other panelist today is our juicy girl. She is a meditation teacher, designer, photographer, all the things, our Jane of all things. Everybody, please hit the heart button and welcome our friend Tara Abram back to the show today. There she is. Hopefully, we'll see how long. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. How long were you going to let her count for, Tara?
She was going to let me get to at least 50. I know she was.
I only heard you when you got to 3. Okay, to be fair, I had to reconnect my audio.
Well, and that's what's crazy. It used to do it by itself, but I guess not. We've missed you for a few weeks too. I know you weren't feeling good, but we're glad that you're feeling better and back with us today. What have you been up to, Miss Tara?
Well, I've been pretty deep into a design project right now. So it's coming to a close kind of at the end of this month. It'll lean into next month a bit, but the bulk of it's wrapping up. So yeah, it's been a lot of late nights, A lot of
That's
fun
exciting. That's
and a lot of dirty painting clothes.
That is exciting. And how much longer do you have left on that project?
Well, the massage studio moves in on the 1st of April. So,
Oh, that's like Monday.
it's like Monday.
Better get moving. Anyway, I'm really excited to have both of you guys back on today and to jump into our hot topics. So saw this image and I posted it on the Breakthrough page. For anybody that's tuning in right now, you can pop over there and don't leave the video though, but you can pop over there and look at the images that I posted, but it has a split down the center and it talks about a wounded woman versus an awakened woman. So we're talking about being wounded versus being awakened. And then I also shared a men's image as well. But this one says, a wounded woman is afraid to speak her truth, lacks self-worth, tolerates toxic people, seeks external validation, people pleases, apologizes for who she is, and has negative self-talk. An awakened woman honors her truth, knows her worth, sets loving boundaries, feels validated from within, inspires others to shine, lives unapologetically, and speaks gently to herself. Now, it's really interesting because as I was looking at this image originally, I kind of remembered back to when I was little and Lori's here. And she just popped on having her coffee with us. So we're going to give her just a minute. It's interesting because like I thought back to when I was little and for sure felt a few of those things when I was little. Like I always felt like I inspired other people. I felt like a lot of times that I sort of set a standard for myself and through that was able to inspire other people. But there are other things on that list that I've sort of, it's been more of a journey. And so my thought in looking at that image was that it's sort of a journey that you're on. And I don't think that you could be 100% on either side of that it's more of a combination. What do you think, Crystal?
I'm going to respectfully disagree just from my own personal experience. So I agree in a way, but for me personally, I disagree because as I'm looking, I pulled up the image in front of me, and as I'm looking at it, I can totally see I was all on the left as I was growing up and even young adulthood. It took a lot for me to feel confident as I got older, so to speak. Feels so wrong to use those words because I don't feel like I'm older. And to start knowing myself. And yet I can see how as a person is awakening, they're a little bit of both, right? Because I see it as like a spiral, as layers. It takes one thing from each side to start the process of it moving until you're more all the way on one side. And then if you think of that in layers and like kind of a slinky that gets tangled up, and then it kind of spills over into different aspects and categories of your life. That's how I see it.
So we actually agree then.
In a long circular conversation ways, maybe, yes.
Because I mean, it's the same thing that I'm saying, that you sort of, it's a journey to mm-hmm. sort of go from one side to the other. But the other thing I would say is that even some of the people that I know who honor their truth, okay, that's the first thing on the awakened side, who honor their truth, there are sometimes things that come up where they have to go back to that, where they have to say, okay, I need to check myself here. So I would say 150% that it's not a 24/7 thing, that it's something that has to be continually worked on to be in that space of being awakened. What say you, Miss Tara?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I've been on both. Well, I've been on the one side of the spectrum, but definitely evolved more towards the other side of the spectrum. It's not to say definitely there's things that times that don't come up where I have to catch myself, especially when it comes to talk and things like that, self-talk, things like that. I mean, it's something I work on a regular basis, but even working on a design project this last weekend, we had to repaint some stuff because we picked something based on a tile that was changed. And, I'm like, oh, I knew I was going to hate it. Why did I pick that? Why did I do? And I'm like, it's like, it's over, it's done, it's been corrected, but still it's like, why did I do that? Why? So there's things like that, I think that are constantly working on, but definitely, definitely a lot of shifts.
Yeah. And I can see somebody who is wounded and lives unapologetically, but yet they have nothing else in that right category. You know what I mean? Like, we could pick that apart. That's a really good graphic.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that I think that there are, if you are, still working on something, on the awakened side of that image, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're not awakened. It means that you're working on it and you're on a journey. And that sort of was my goal, my point in bringing up this hot topic today, because I think that it's really easy to say, oh, well, I do these things, so that means that I'm automatically awakened. We all have things that we're working on and working through. And I think it's important to recognize that. And someone said to me, fairly recently, that there's no actual destination. There's it's a constant growing and learning and improving yourself and that sort of thing. And I think I would agree with that. I think that a lot of times we strive for goals and things, but especially where our spiritual growth and our awakening is concerned. But I think it's always kind of a learning process. Do you guys feel like that too?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I saw something, there's a meme floating around on Facebook somewhere, something about the journey is the destination. And I could be mixing it up, but it's like the journey is the destination. But with each evolution and rebirthing of ourself, as we keep reinventing ourselves and refinding these new spaces, if you look at the highway, those are the mile markers, right? So even when you're getting from point A to point B, you're passing all these other mile markers. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of comments. Eric was saying awakening isn't an event, it's a process. And I would agree with that as well. And then Brenda was saying as well, that's so true. There is no destination when it comes to evolution. And I think that that's such a huge thing. So when you see graphics like that draw sort of the line in the sand and say, this is how you are when you're awakened, and this is how you are when you're wounded, just know that it's all a process, and we all have our own process and evolution and whatnot that we're going through. So be good with where you are on your process and your journey, and we'll be excited for you too, wherever you are. Mm-hmm. So I want to get into our topic today, because we have a new friend with us on our show today. She actually already popped in. And because we've had some fun, like I said, we've had some fun tech issues this morning. And I have to give her, like Crystal was saying before the show, we have to give her an A for effort. She walked all the way down the street to the cafe to get on some more reliable internet and to join us for the show today. So we're really excited. So let me get at my information here. Lori Auger is joining us from South Florida. She is going to talk about with us how healing has impacted her life. And she is a BQH practitioner. We're going to learn a little bit about what that is. She's also an artist and a Reiki master teacher. And we're really excited to have her on the show today. So everyone, please hit the heart button and welcome Lori to the show. And we'll ask Lori to turn on her video and her microphone now. Yay.
Hello, can you hear me?
There she is. Yes, we can hear you. Okay. What a fun time it has been. Did you enjoy Mercury retrograde last month?
I did.
We're really excited to have you on the show, Lori, and I would love for you to take a minute and chime in on our hot topic today. Do you feel like you're either all on one side of this image or all on the other, being awakened or wounded, or how do you feel about that?
I heard the tail end of your conversation, so I agree with there being a balance, because I feel like in life, everything has to be balanced. I do agree with some of the things that could, because I can't remember the meme, but I do remember there were some wounded aspects that I was agreeing with, where like the wounded woman, is always apologetic, but yet the awakened woman is true to her word, or knows herself, or something like that, which is true. It's very true. I've been on both sides of those spectrums, even when I wasn't awakened, though, like years and years ago, because I've always had some kind of spiritual interests, and I've been into esoteric things, but I never understood what awakened was until a couple of years ago, when I started getting into it a lot more. But anyway, basically what I'm trying to say is that I think that balance is the key, because there are times that even as an awakened person, if you want to give it that label, I do fall back. I have challenges that come up, and sometimes it's fairly hard to like unleash or release the program. There's lots of layers to the programming that we have in our lives. So you may have peeled away a whole bunch of layers and then think like, okay, I'm all set with this. But then something happens and you're like, I'm back here again. But in reality, you're not really back there. You're in another situation that's challenging you, to give you the opportunity to say, how am I going to react to this? I could either choose to fall back into my old patterns and like sit there and wallow, or I can do something different, knowing better.
Yeah, I love the way you put that, because I think it can be really easy for us to feel like, how we to feel like there's a destination, and we feel like, oh, we've made it, we're awakened now. And we talk about that on the show a lot, where we have these breakthrough moments and we have these things that happen, and then here comes another breakthrough and another, and it's like a snowball that happens. So I love the way you describe that as well. So I'm really excited that you were able to make it on the show today, Lori, because I'm thrilled to hear your story and hear from you. And I would love for you, in telling us your story, to take us back, start by taking us back to how things were before your breakthrough moment, before you had these experiences that you had.
Okay, so I'll do the most recent, because like I mentioned, there's many times in your life where you fall down and like everything crumbles and you have to start over. But 2 years ago, well, maybe 2015, let's go there. I had this calling to kind of leave everything behind and move down to Florida. And my husband felt the same way. And at the time we were doing really well. We both had jobs that we loved. We had a pretty, decent apartment. There was really no reason to like run off or anything, but we just really felt like we should. And so we did, and everything kind of worked out. So it was one of those things where like when you listen to your heart's calling, the path ahead starts to open up for you, with opportunities. And so my husband got a job. I ended up working for the art district there in the Florida Keys, was where we started out. Then we stayed there for a few months, and my husband got a job offer where we are now, in the mainland, South Florida. And when we moved here, I did a lot of healing. I was kind of jumping from job to job, because I've been doing art my whole life. And as an artist, it's very difficult to kind of make a living. So you're either like starting at the bottom in a gallery, or like, working an odd job just to pay bills. So I was doing that. I'm now in my mid 40s. And so it's easier to do when you're in your 20s and even maybe in your 30s. But then when you start to hit 40, you're like, this is not working for me. And this is not like what life should be about, So that was kind of an awakening moment of like, there's more, I always felt like there was more, but I was like, this just isn't it. Like, I should be doing more with my art. I should be, I don't know, just not doing what I'm doing now because I'm unhappy. And so I ended up staying at a job because of financial things, but I was unhappy there, and I ended up getting fired because we know that the universe will force us to leave a situation we don't like to be in if we don't do it ourselves. So I ended up getting fired, was unemployed for a few months, really depressed, having some health issues too. And around that time, I found Dolores Cannon online. And I watched some of her lectures, and she did quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is basically like, I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Have any of you heard of her technique at all? Okay. So she did regular hypnosis in her sessions. Her clients were going deeper and reaching their higher self. They were healing themselves from, diseases. They were having past life regressions and, becoming aware about things that were currently happening in their life that had nothing to do with current life things. It was like past life things that were affecting their current life. And so they were able to heal some of those things. And I was fascinated with everything I heard. And if you watch some of her lectures, she kind of ties science in with it. So just everything esoteric that I ever believed, I kind of felt like she was confirming and proving everything for me, backing it up with her client sessions as well as with some of the scientific proof. And she even did research into some of these people's past lives just to make sure that, like, are they making it up or is this real? And a lot of the things that they were talking about that they weren't aware of in this life, actually happened in that time. And I hope you're able to hear me because the music here is kind of loud. So anyway, so I started delving deeper into that. I wanted to meditate, and I found a meditation teacher, like around the same time I found Dolores Cannon. And he's been awesome. I mean, I still work with him because even though I'm awakened, like, it's great to still have people that you work with. And yeah, like, he actually opened up a whole new world to me in terms of like meditation. When I'm remembering now that one of the first breakthrough moments with that was a meditation that was so simple. He said, take 5 minutes, sit with yourself and tell yourself that you love yourself. Just say, I love myself. And so I did that thinking, this will be easy because I love myself. And like, I sat there and I couldn't say it. Like I said it, but it didn't, like, it was empty. And I'm like, wait, that can't be. Like, I know I love myself. Like, this is wrong. And then I sat there, tried to do it again, and I still couldn't do it. And it really was like an eye opener. So I was kind of like determined, like, no, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not just going to say, no, I don't love myself. And I thought of myself as a little girl. 3 years old was the age that came up. And I'm like, I was cute then. I could love her. So, I like gave her a big hug, and I was like, I love you. And I don't know, the water work started because, I mean, I'm not going to get into like childhood things, but like that little girl needed so much love. Like, it was intense, and I never realized that before. And then I saw her turning into the teenage me, and like, she needed a hug. So I gave her a hug and said, I love you. And then I watched, through this meditation, I watched her turn into the 20-year-old me who was like living alone in an apartment and hating her life. And so, and then gradually she turned into me, like now at this age, looking at myself. And I was really able to give her a hug and say, like, you've come a long way. Like, yes, I love you. Like, this is, and I meant it. So it was like one of the best things, one of the best exercises I ever did. And the thing is, like, he didn't even tell me, like, think of yourself as a kid and do that. Like, it's just what intuitively came to me. Because as you know, like, our higher selves are always talking to ourselves. We're just get too distracted by the noise around us that we don't hear those messages. And so when I couldn't do that meditation, my higher self was there like, no, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this in a way that's going to work for you. And it really did. Like, after that day, I just was like diving deeper and deeper and getting into this process, and started learning Reiki. And actually, I kind of skipped over how, like, my dad had passed away in October of 2017. I found Dolores Cannon and my meditation teacher in June of 2017. So like, after he passed, I started getting visits from him, and he was talking to me, which, like, I never talked to a ghost or like a spirit or anything in my whole life. So it was weird. And I didn't understand what was happening. Part of me thought, no, you just miss him. You're making this up, but then another part of me was like, no, this is real. Like, I can't deny that I feel this, presence here. And basically the thoughts coming into my head were him pushing me to do my artwork. He was like telling me to quit my job, because at the time I was really miserable. I was working in a new new place, but again, not what I wanted to do. So, and like my dad's a very practical man, so I was really shocked that he was pushing me to quit my job, because for him, it's like, you have a job, be grateful for that, you know? But he was like, no, you should be like doing other things and do the Reiki, like keep doing that. Meanwhile, my dad never knew what Reiki meant. He never knew what any of that was. So I listened and started working with like energy healing. Was able to heal myself of like some back pains that I had. Later on, in 2018, I found the BQH course that I took. It's Beyond Quantum Healing. And that was done, it was created by Candace Praw Goldman. She worked with Dolores Cannon when she was alive for several years. And she herself has been doing QHHT for about a decade, maybe more, I'm not sure. But she decided to start this this new course to give people more freedom with the technique. So basically in Beyond Quantum Healing, you still use hypnosis techniques to relax the client, to get messages from their higher self or from, you know, family members or their guides. I mean, basically the higher self takes over in a session and shows the client what they need to see for whatever the reason was they came to see, you know, they came for the session, because you have to have all your questions ready for when you do a session of anything you want to know in life. Like, why is it that I keep repeating this pattern? Or why is it that, you know, I had such a bad childhood or something, you know, like the higher self will find the answer and show it to you during the session. And it really brings a lot of healing. I had a session myself and I was amazed with all the confirmation that I got. My dad showed up and was like, yes, I was there. And, you know, that was me talking to you. And yeah, and I got a lot of information about my health and about like just my path. And yeah, so it's one of the reasons why I wanted to get certified in it. So I did that and got certified in August of 2018. I know I'm going back and forth on the timeline here. But yeah, like I just love the work that I do. And now I'm starting to incorporate my art. I made this, Mercury's still in retrograde, so can't find the words for it, but like I did this outline, I guess, for a course, not a course, a workshop to do meditation and painting. Kind of like a paint and sip, but instead of going there and drinking and painting, meditate with each other through a guided meditation with me, and then you can paint whatever you saw in your meditation, or just whatever it is that you're feeling afterwards, you know, just to kind of get that that connection back. Because I don't want to say reconnect you, because we're always connected, but basically a lot of us disconnect from that in this chaotic world we live in, and some of us don't even know that inner guidance is there. You know, you might call it a gut feeling, but you don't know that that's a real, genuine, I don't know, I don't want to say it's a person, but it's your higher being, basically. So yeah, I don't know, I think that's it. I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
No, you're good. I've loved listening to kind of your journey that you've taken. Do you feel like you have you came into these things at a time when you were more open to it, or have you always been more open to sort of learning, like you were talking about before, about the sort of the esoteric things? Have you always been that way, or is it something that like you had to sort of be open and ready for it?
I was always into that. Even as a kid, like I used to look up at the stars all the time and to myself, because I remember saying it to somebody once and they're like, oh, you have such a great imagination. But I'm like, you know, like, I want to go home, or like, you know, the stars, you know, I know people up there, like, you know, it just, I can't remember exactly what I said, but like, I was always drawn to the sky, to the stars specifically. Sometimes there would be one star that would shine really, really bright that I would just stare at for the longest time. And, you know, I also remember when I was 5, I had this friend that lived down the hall, and we used to play together and make potions, you know, like we used to like grab stuff from our bathroom, you know, cream, and like we'd pick dandelions outside, which actually do have like medicinal properties. You know, I didn't know that at 5, but, you know, we'd mix that together with like baby oil and what, you know, so we're like in a way kind of trying to make essential oils, I guess, I don't know. And and I love nature. Like I love the beach. I loved rocks. I collected rocks, shells my whole life. Then when I found crystals at 16, was obsessed, started buying crystals, started reading tarot at 18. And then like through my I'd say late 20s, early 30s, something like that, I kind of had to like put it all away because, you know, around this time, again, I was kind of jumping from job to job. Everybody was kind of tolerant of me in my youth, but then like my family was kind of like, you know, this isn't cute anymore. You got to get a real job. You got to buy a house, have a family, you know, stop playing with your rocks. Like, stop doing this art thing. You know, you could do it as a hobby, but, and so I kind of put it aside and said, okay, I'll grow up and I'll, you know, do the whole thing. But I was unhappy. Like, I mean, I did find a gallery job, so that was kind of cool. But then things happened there that were like, I don't even want to get into that. It's a long story. But like, you know, he was basically robbing his clients. And then that morality kicked in for me of like, I can't sit here and lie for this man who's like stealing money from his clients, you know, and like, so, you know, that was like another kind of breakthrough time in my life. But yeah, like, I think what happened,
like this process of healing for you has sort of, it's more been about like going back home, like going back to how things were for you at the beginning, right?
Exactly. Like, and I mean, isn't that what people have now, you know, been referring to awakening as, is not really awakening, but remembering who we truly are, you know, going back to every aspect of ourselves that we've thrown away and left behind because society told us to, because everyone said it was wrong. Yeah, so like it was kind of a remembering, because when I realized in my mid-30s that like, I don't want to live like this. Like, I'd rather be, you know, an old hippie with rocks, you know, living alone than, you know, be like married to some corporate American guy, like in a big house, mansion, whatever. I mean, I know that sounds like, oh, she's lying. She would live in a mansion, but like, honestly, I don't care. Like, I don't want any of that. I find happiness in so many other things, you know, like there's so much beauty out there. And maybe that's because like I grew up with nothing. Like I grew up in the New York City projects, and it was like, you know, not the prettiest place to live, you know, but my dad would take me to the beach, you know, we'd go fishing. Like I was always surrounded by like what nature really was. And so I've always had that pull as well. So in my life, when I got older, I'm like, well, I'm going to live around nature. That's just, you know, and even though I lived in the city all through my mid-30s, like I finally was like, I'm done with this, you know, because like I said, in that time where I kind of like did that whole 9 to 5, whatever, you know, it was easy to do in Manhattan. You're living in like concrete land and, you know, everything's about like the latest fashion and getting to work and hustle bustle, you know. And I got sick of that. It just didn't do anything for me anymore, and I wanted away, and I kind of never want to go back to that. So yeah, I hope I answered your question without
Yes.
too much.
Yes, I know Tara wants to grow up and be an old hippie and play with rocks too, right?
Then we shall do that together.
That actually sounds, I talk about a lot, like I just want like a deserted island and, you know, just do my own thing out there. I don't need a mansion or anything like that. Like I just want to sit and play with rocks all day. How about you, Tara?
Well, I could go with like a little hut on the beach and sell coconuts, because you know,
Yeah.
that would work. Anything with sun, sand, palm trees, like I'm good. We were just talking before the show about the salt life. Isn't that it?
Salt Life. They don't have the Salt Life stickers
Canada?
up north there, like up there in Canada. So I told her, I said, we need to send her like a Salt Life sticker.
We still have some snow, okay? Like it's mostly gone, but it's not gone.
Yeah,
I live snow too.
Yeah, I lived in New England for a while, in Rhode Island. That's not Canada, obviously, but that's like where I've seen the worst snow. And like, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to come down to Florida, because I was kind of done with snow too, my whole life. You know, every winter, snow. And like, you know, I just was enough. I'm like, please, no more.
Yeah, that's what was fun when you and I talked a couple weeks ago is that we both lived like right around the same area up north, which is fun to when you connect with somebody like that. Yeah, for sure. Tara, do you have any questions for Lori this morning or this afternoon?
No, I'm loving everything that you're sharing with us, Lori. I actually love, of course, talking about meditation, something I'm super passionate about. And and how it can really be a useful tool to change a lot of things in life. I'm curious to know, like one of the things I love about meditation too is the power of tapping into collective meditation with others. I'm sure that's something that you've had the opportunity to experience now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I haven't started my meditation and art workshop yet. I really want to get that started. I found a local venue here that was interested in having me do that. So as far as like group meditation, I did attend a group meditation in, locally, and it was really like a beautiful experience. Like it was like a cacao ceremony and meditation. So yeah, that was, it was
I've
just
heard of those.
the love in that room. Like I couldn't even believe it. And when we were doing it, she even said, the cacao is like stimulates the heart chakra, and so she had us focus on that and focus on like just loving one another and loving Gaia. And it was, I don't know, like that, like you said, it is a powerful thing to be in a room full of people all focused on love and just peace, a peaceful atmosphere. It's life-changing, because when you're out there in the hustle and the bustle, you don't know that you can experience that with other people. It's just everybody walking back and forth, not connecting. But when you're in a room like that and you're able to really sit and connect, even without talking to them, it's the most wonderful, beautiful experience.
Yeah. So I apologize. I thought you said you had already done the workshop, and I was curious because I love that idea.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
I'm like, I've been to a paint and sip before, but I've never been to a paint and meditate. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done paint and sips before, but I never did it in this format. It's just something that came to me actually during a meditation when I was kind of trying to figure out like, what should I be doing and focusing on? Because, like you said, when you introduced me, I kind of do all these different things. And even now, since like I sent you my information, like I no longer am calling myself a Reiki master. Like I am, but because I am certified, but I don't use the symbols anymore. And like it kind of like really didn't hit me till I was talking about it with someone who, when I said, I was doing Reiki on my cat, because he was having some issues. She was like, oh, so you use Reiki? Oh, I work directly with Source, but okay. And, because she wanted to understand what I was doing. And then I was thinking like, am I doing Reiki? Because I don't use the symbols, and I do call on Source, but I always thought like Reiki was just the Japanese word for like source energy, isn't it? Like universal life force energy. So
it's interesting because as you're talking about some of the different things you're doing too, like a lot of it is reminiscent of other things that I know. And I think it kind of, we talk about that a little bit on the show too, where, so many things I think are really derived from the same area. It's over time have been called different things and they're embraced differently by different people. So I think that's probably a big part of that too.
Yeah, but I started really like sitting, sitting with myself and thinking, because I used to offer Reiki classes on my website, and then I was thinking like, but if I'm not really using the symbols, like, can I really teach the Reiki? I mean, I guess I could because I know how, but I'm like, it's not in alignment anymore. And I feel like that's not right to like, to continue doing something I'm not in alignment with. So not that I have created any kind of new healing modality or anything like that. I just feel like I'm starting to tap in deeper and deeper. And I'm realizing that each one of us has an ability to heal ourselves, even without taking all these courses. But sometimes we do need to take these courses to kind of open that door, and kind of show us what to do. And then once we kind of understand a little more, then we can like mold it and shape it into any way that works for us. And that's kind of how Reiki started changing for me, because there were times I was, I would lay hands and do like what you're supposed to do. And then I would intuitively be told to like, no, do your hands this way. And I'm like, no, but that's not the position. And it's like, no, you got to do that anyway. And, or like, there's a pain over here, pull that out. And I'm like, pull it out? What are you talking about? And like, but my hand will be like pulling it as if I'm actually pulling something that's not there, but yet I did it on myself and I felt the pain go. So it was like, whoa, like that actually worked. And that's crazy, So yeah, I just feel like anyone who's doing energy healing, go with your intuition, no matter if it's not by the rules that you learned, because it'll take you to different places and yeah, you'll experience wonderful things. Like I can't even say what you'll experience because I'm still learning too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because one of my questions was, as I was following along with your share in your journey, was, okay, she picked this up and this helped her here, and she picked this up and this helped her here. But I was picking up on, okay, I want to know what it is she really does and she chooses to do now today. So like your whole thing just segued beautifully into my question. So now I'm going to ask you, like, what was the biggest aha moment? And if you were to reintroduce yourself now, since you've had like that time in between where you said, yeah, but it's different now. Kind of talk us through, like, how would you introduce yourself and explain what you do with people?
Well, I just switched over my website and redefined that. So it's kind of easy for me to say, like, I'm an artist and I'm a BQH practitioner. And I offer art and meditation workshops, as well as BQH sessions that include sound therapy, water alchemy, and crystals. So that's basically what I do. It may incorporate energy healing, but I'm not really going to say that, because if it doesn't, I don't want people to feel like, well, you said it did, and now I don't get that. Because I'm very much like, I'm not going to promise something I can't deliver, and I work intuitively with every single person. So like during a BQH session, I do the sound healing with a Tibetan crystal bowl, so that it helps with the relaxation process, helps to get you in that zone while I talk you through getting into the scene that you need to get into, that your higher self wants to see. And I pretty much set up crystals around the person if I'm working with them in person, and they're different crystals. Like, they talk to me depending on who I'm working with. And if I'm not working with them in person, I kind of have the crystals gridded around my computer. And it seems to work. Like, and it's funny because my crystals always talk to me and say, like, okay, you're going to work with this person. Like, I want to come and I want to come. And then I just kind of set them up all around the computer. Yeah, that's basically how I work.
So what is the water alchemy that you mentioned?
That has to do with the work of Masaru Emoto, who you're all familiar with that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something that Candace incorporated into the BQH course, because she got messages from, Masaru Emoto and Dolores Cannon talking about how this could help clients during their sessions. So what you do is you get a glass of water. I have one, the client has one, and we focus the intention for the session into the water. And then we drink the water so that intention just goes through our entire bodies. That energy is there. And it really does kind of set the mood. It helps. I find it helps because I do believe in water alchemy. I put crystals in water. I charge them under the moon. I use different crystals for different things. And I talk to my water and I write little messages on them of love. And I don't know, the water tastes different. Maybe people might say, oh, that's placebo effect, that's stupid or whatever, but it works for me. And I taste the difference.
Yeah, and you can. And I think for those who may be listening to this now or on the replay, who kind of have that little disconnect, Masaru Emoto, I always say it wrong. Anyways, that whole he scientifically researched and proved that theory. Then when the Disney movie Frozen came out, it was like, yay, they're teaching it to kids now, right? Because live from your truth and not from your fear. Because remember, I'm sure you're familiar with the movie, I'm assuming you are. But when she was in fear of that part of herself, everything that came out was jagged. right? And it was sharp and it came off as hurtful and it made other people fear. But then when she embraced it and said, screw this, I'm going to live for myself, you know, look at that gorgeous castle that she created.
Exactly.
You know, she stomped on the floor and she claimed that power and that beautiful symmetrical snowflake, you know. I just kind of wanted to take a moment just to kind of share that for those listening who may not be familiar with that because it really is a wonderful visual for that. And
that's a great
I
example.
also make crystal elixirs and stuff too, moon waters and all of that.
Yeah, no, and writing the, you know, I'll write abundance, love, like on the water. That does things too. I mean, that's basically what Masaru Emoto did during his experiments. You know, he had jars of water laid out with words written on the jars, and people would say those words to those jars every day, you know, and the ones that said, let's say the jar said hate, that, you know, he took the water from that after a few days of like being told I hate you, and he put it in a freezing, you know, he froze it and like it crystallized in a very odd shape, really, you know, kind of scary blobby shape. And the ones that said I love you, that were told I love you on a daily basis, when those were frozen, like you said, they turned into these beautiful crystallized snowflake looking things that were just beautiful. And I think that he did this too with like polluted water. Like he took polluted water, and they had like I don't know if it was a monk or somebody pray over it, and that water that they crystallized as is was all blobby and gross, and the one that was prayed upon, that same exact water from the same place, was crystallized. So yeah, like that was enough for me, that scientific proof, to believe in this. And since I taste a difference in water and I believe that this is true, I now take my energy healing and my love for this planet and I go to the water and I give it all my love. You know, I kind of infuse the ocean with that energy, that love, to kind of clean it. And, you know, I tell it I'm sorry for all of the, you know, pollution that we've done to you. And, you know, and I feel it makes a difference. You know, maybe it doesn't make a huge difference because it's just me in one little area, but I think that can ripple out, you know, and if we all do that,
think of ripple. Yeah,
exactly. And if we all do that in our area, you know, it's kind of the way, you know, people want to talk about how, you know, us light workers are like, you know, placed in specific places, you know, because we're lighting up that grid. That's why we're not all together in one spot, you know, because we're all lighting up that grid in different places. So yeah, I encourage you to all go to your water sources and, you know, give it some love.
That sounds like such a great idea. And I think something, I agree with you that it's one little thing that we can do, but it can ripple out and have such a profound effect. We're coming about to the end of our time together, Lori. So I would love for you to share, finishing up, if someone is maybe, you know, not as familiar with healing things as you have been, and they don't have these different things in their lives, but they know that they need healing in their lives, like what would you say to them to sort of begin this process of discovering themselves and finding healing in their own lives?
I think it's important to, you know, I mean, meditation, that's my go-to because it's free. You don't need anything really. You just find a quiet spot. And, you know, for the people that say, I don't have time and I don't have a quiet private spot, your shower is a quiet private spot. You know, like there've been many times where I've meditated in the shower because no one's going to bother you in there. I mean, you're in there taking a shower. So, and you really only need 5 minutes. It would be great to have that grow. The 5-minute meditations grew into like sometimes an hour, but that's over time, obviously. But for anyone who's just starting, 5 minutes a day sitting with yourself, if you can, outside is ideal because that's the place where I see magic, you know. So, you know, hearing the birds singing, the wind blowing, yeah, meditation is the way to go, and the answers will come to you when you sit in silence. That's why, you know, in case anyone's like, well, what is meditation going to do for me? Like, well, when you sit in silence and you forget about the noise, you can hear guidance coming from within. You could start asking yourself questions and those answers will come to you like like that. So, that's me.
I love those ideas, Lori. And we're so thankful that you were able to get on today and share with us.
Yeah.
Because I think that that your story is really about coming home to yourself and rediscovering who you are. And it's really easy. And I think, again, we've talked about this before. It goes really well with our hot topic today. Sometimes we get off course and maybe lose a sense of that person that we are, or the awakened person, and it's just a matter of finding healing to get back. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Lori, and we would love for you to hang out in our green room while we close up the show today, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay, thank you, ladies. I love talking to you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to put Lori into our green room there for a moment so we can finish up the show. I'm so excited she was able to make it on, because like I said, when I had an opportunity to talk to her a couple of weeks ago, for the first time face-to-face like this, I was really sort of moved by her story, and it really had me thinking back to when I was younger, and some of the things that maybe I thought then or believed then, or the things that I did then. I had a memory pop up for myself that I was really, it makes me laugh every time I think about it. I used to do these little seminars in my bedroom when I was like 9 for my grandmother. And they were on, I mean, for me, thinking back now, pretty profound topics like how to love yourself. And I didn't grow up in any, any kind of way that that would encourage, this kind of work that I do now. And so I looked then at all of the different things like that I used to do when I was little. And really this process of awakening for me and finding healing for me in my own life has been similar to hers, where it's kind of reconnecting with who I've been all along and enhancing that and building upon those things. I want to quickly get to a comment that that Eric said in the comments of the video. He said, if we can influence water, think of how we can influence our bodies, which are mostly water. So I loved that comment as well. What are some of your takeaways from Lori's story, Crystal?
I mean, it's kind of like the perfect storm, right? She kind of walked us through, like she was loving herself and, doing what she wanted. And then she started letting others dictate, right? She started listening to outside instead of inside. And then that was like the disjointed kind of painful part. But then once she started reclaiming that for herself, now look at her, she's flourishing spiritually and personally and feeling great. And she talked about some, she didn't go into detail about it, but I could feel the frustration and the painful pieces of her story from when she wasn't,
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Tara? What are some of your takeaways from Lori's story?
Gosh, there were so many. One of the things I did love that she talked about, which ties into that last comment, is, bringing in the different elements and working with them as well, like especially water. Deborah Silverman, I love her work, and she always talks about balancing those 4 elements. So I know myself in meditations and things like that, I love to bring in the different elements so that you can connect. And of course, here in Canada, obviously grounding, as she's talking about, getting outside and being right in nature and stuff. We, certain months of the year it's a little bit trickier, but it's definitely something that for me, it's like, it's my go-to. Like if I can get outside, like it's amazing how quickly you can just reconnect and, exchange that energy back with the earth. And it makes such a big difference. And it sounds silly, but there's a lot of science and a research on it that shows the difference of, they can use some thermal images and stuff that show the difference when you actually do get outside and you do ground with nature versus when you're not. And you can see those differences in the body. So I think that's really cool that she brings that in. And obviously, again, I love meditation. I mean,
I knew this would be right up your alley today, Tara.
what else can I say about that? I mean,
Yeah. No, and I mean, it's the same thing in, you know, when I'm working with someone on the lunar cycles or astrology, it's the importance of balancing the elements is the same as far as that's concerned as well. Because when we look at our natal chart, you know, we have archetypes that show up in the different elements. And if there's a huge imbalance in that, there, you know, there are things that we can do to sort of balance that out and come and really get more in touch with the not shadow aspects of our being, and have fun sort of, you know, building on that and blossoming. I love that she talked about too, you know, really a process of spiritual growth where even when we learn new things in the spiritual realm, like she was talking about the Reiki, and not feeling connected with it, that it's okay to let that go, that served its purpose for her, and that she's been able to sort of embrace a new way. I loved that she talked about that, because I think that, I mean, it's been similar with me, although I still practice Reiki. It's not, I do it in a different way than when I originally took my training and all of that. And so I really resonated with that as well. Have you guys found that in your own practice, that you've sort of been able to let practices go that don't serve you anymore and embrace new things?
Yeah, really, more like morphing. And one thing that I forgot to mention, and I meant to say, was she said, oh, I don't advertise that you get an energy healing because not everybody does it. But every single time she meets with somebody, it's an energy healing.
Right.
Right. So even this here is an exchange of energy. Right. And for the person who's really ready to ingest and receive this information, it is an energy healing for them. You know, so for me, it was, you know, when I started picking things up, it was not keeping them compartmentalized. Like when I started bringing them in together and really using my own flavor instead of trying to keep them separate, that's when I felt like I was in my flow, and almost like dancing. You know what I mean? Like that lightness of it. Like I wasn't so worried about the next step, because everything just flows.
Well, and we're kind of we're a whole person. Like there's so many different, especially those of us who, bless our hearts, that are multi-passionate women. We have so many things that we love to do and that we want to have a part of our lives. And so I found the same thing for me, like on my website, on in my shop, I had probably, you know, 10 to 15 different kinds of readings at first. And I'm in the process now of switching it over to where I offer a slot of time for readings, because I would meet with someone to go over astrology, and I found myself wanting to talk about Reiki or crystals or, you know, other things. And I would do a card reading and I would want to talk about, you know, other things. And so because I tried so hard to say, well, you know, what if someone's not open to this and they just want to do this? And so I have to separate it. And it just, like, Lord, that is a lot of stress to put on yourself, to separate yourself like that. It just does not work for me anymore.
Yeah. And especially when the modalities have that natural synergy to where they're just screaming to play together. Yeah. And not play like, oh, let's just play and see what happens, but literally they're meant to play together, you know. Why fight that?
Right. I think it flows so beautifully into the fact that my oracle cards are pre-launching today, which was after I love the gift that our friend and panelist Heather Clark put on my announcement post yesterday, where the woman from the Titanic said, "It's been 84 years." That's what it feels like. The process of getting these out, although it has not been that long. I had a powerful dream in November of last year that really meshed a lot of these ideas together, and specifically specifically our lunar cycle and our chakra system. And it was just the most profound thing for me. And out of this birthed these cards that I'm putting out. And I think that was, you know, a good awakening or breakthrough moment for me, because it was sort of around the time when I was like, I can't put myself in a box anymore. Like, I can't just do because this is all part of me. And so I think that that's such a powerful message from her story today. And I, of course, am glad that you ladies were here to chime in on her story with me today as well. So I want to give a big thank you to Lori Auger for making it on today, and a big A+ for effort for marching all the way down to the coffee shop to get on Better Internet to join us, because I'm really excited that she was able to share her story today. A big thank you to our panelists today, Crystal Cockerham, our transformational midwife, and Tara Abram, our juicy girl and Jane of all things. Do you ladies have anything special, exciting going on that you want to share before we resign today? Anything good happening? Any sharing? Tara's raising her eyebrows. I think there's something on the horizon with Tara that she's not telling us.
I've kept my lips zipped, Tara. I have kept them zipped.
I don't know. Maybe I can say it. Maybe I can. I don't know.
Say something.
Say something.
Give us a juicy tidbit.
Juicy tidbit. Well, okay. Do you have a juicy tidbit? I've got a new radio show starting next week.
Okay, that's enough.
That's my juicy tidbit.
That's all you get today, people. Have a nice
all you get.
day.
And this has been an amazing episode of The Breakthrough.
Yeah. And of course, if you want to connect with any of us on the show, you can go to thebreakthroughshow.com, and all of our social and website links are there. So you can have all the juicy details first. You don't have to wait till Fridays when we do our little bit at the end of the show. You just don't. You could go to our website and be in the know, right? So I'm really excited. We will be back next week with a fabulous guest. We have Lynn Thurman joining us from across the pond. She is an author. Her oracle cards were actually the first I ever had in my collection. So I'm a little like going to be fangirled out next week, because I love her and I love her work, and I'm really excited to have her on. She has a book about goddesses as well, which was amazing. And we're going to be talking about publishing you. We're going to be talking about that process of really putting yourself out there in writing and sharing your stories and your information with other people. So really excited to have her on to talk about that. But until next week, we will see you guys next time, same place for another episode of The Breakthrough. Have a great weekend, everybody.